Judge, I send you a text.
That both parties had. Let me call the case. Brenda, are you ready?
I'm ready.
And just so everyone knows, we're on mute since this is outside the presence of the jury. I do not want a situation
Is that it, Judge? You there, Judge? Hey, Brenna. Yeah.
Okay. It's unmuted.
Okay, thank you.
So you can read it. Cool. Oh, my goodness.
All right, everyone. I hear the jury outside. Thanks, Fernanda. I guess we'll stretch while we can.
Lest we forget. Chicken.
Brendan, you remember this?
Feels
Memories.
like forever ago.
Yeah, it does.
I forgot to write that. All right, so the jury.
There should be a space between each of you. And I believe everyone is to sit where you see the sticker. Am I correct, Brenna?
Oh, no, they just had the 14 chairs, Judge. That's what we were informed.
Okay. Who are the two alternates? Who are the two alternate jurors?
Benavides Hector and Charles Mason.
All right, who are Benavides, Hector, and Charles Mason?
Benavides.
All right, if you will sit in the gallery, please. Yes, go in the chair behind. Yes. And just do a space between you two, and you'll be closest to the wall. Yes. Right.
Yeah, they still don't have enough chairs. We
Yeah,
didn't set it up for chairs.
Okay.
Well, the chairs are up there on the
Do you want
gallery.
me to get one from the
Yes,
gallery?
please. Thank you.
More chairs.
Because I want to make sure that you all have spaces between you all. And usually it's set up for that way, but somebody took the chairs from our courtroom without permission, of course. Yes, yes, you can.
Yes. And I think it's like, we need like 2 more chairs.
That's okay.
We need another one down.
All right. If you have a chair.
Yes. Just make sure there's a space between you and the person.
And you. And then that chair goes over further, you go to the next side. Yes, you go to that. Yes. So that one can move over.
All right, and we need one more, Hunter.
And he's over here sitting on the side. Oh, we could just move him to the galley too. We could do that too.
Oh, no, we're good. Yes, thank you.
And we had 2 chairs up here. That's what I remember. We had-
All right, and so if you'll just have a seat there in the blue, if you'll sit there. All right, so everyone has a space.
So he's over here.
Yeah, that's-
Move me.
So you can see, you might want to.
yes. No, just move it over a little bit. Okay. Everyone, please be seated. All right, if I can have all the jurors, please raise your right hand for me. Do each of you solemnly swear or affirm in the case of the state of Texas against Michael Hernandez, you will a true verdict render according to the law and the evidence, so help you God? All right, you can lower your hand, please. All right, state.
Hey, Judge.
True bill of indictment in the name and by authority of the state of Texas, the grand jury of Bexar County, state of Texas, duly organized, impaneled, and sworn as such at the November term AD 2019 of the 187th Judicial District Court of said county and said court at said term to present in and to said court that in the county and state aforesaid and interior to the presentment of this indictment. On or about the 12th day of September 2018, Michael Stephen Hernandez, hereinafter referred to as defendant, with the intent to deprive the owner, namely Target, of property, namely 1 air purifier and 6 clothing items, did unlawfully appropriate said property by acquiring and otherwise exercising control over said property being other than real property, which had the value of less than $2,500 without the effective consent of the owner. And before the commission of the offense alleged above, on the first day of May 2013, in cause number 2013 CR 3890W, in Bexar County, Texas, the defendant was convicted of the offense of theft under $1,500 enhanced. And on the 9th day of December 2014, in cause number 2014 CR 2626, in Bexar County, Texas, the defendant was convicted of the offense of theft under 1,500 enhanced against the peace and dignity of the state.
All right, defense. Mr. Hernandez, could you please rise? How do you plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest? All right, thank you. You may be seated. State, are you prepared for opening statements?
Yes, Judge.
All right, you may proceed.
Thank you, Judge. Please, court, defense. Good morning, folks. I don't anticipate this is going to be a long case, and it should be a straightforward case. We talked about it a lot yesterday. It is a unique charge. A theft under $2,500, but a felony. You're going to hear pretty much from the outset that there are 2 prior convictions, which is why we spent so much time on it. And then you're going to hear from a loss prevention officer. It's going to tell you he's been doing this a while. He saw the defendant, he followed the defendant. He had cameras following the defendant. He watched him take a Dyson, watched him take some t-shirts, and then stopped him as he tried to get out through the center cart door at Target. And he took him back, identified him, and he got booked. It's that simple. And we're not here saying the defendant's a bad person or anything like that. What we're saying is that James Loeffler is going to come in here and say, you observe this. We're going to provide you cameras that show the testimony that James Loeffler gives and the identification. And I think at the end of this, there's not going to be any doubt in your mind that Michael Stephen Hernandez is guilty of theft under $2,500.
All right, defense, any opening statements?
Yes, Your Honor.
You may proceed.
I approach the jury.
Yes.
Good almost afternoon. Though. Just want to reiterate with you that the state must prove beyond a reasonable doubt every single element of the offense. I'm going to go through what the elements of the offense are. Okay? Has to be in Bear County, that's jurisdictional, that type of thing. Okay? We'll go through every single element of the offense in question. And remember, every single element, they must prove beyond a reasonable doubt. Now, reasonable doubt, as you heard yesterday, is the highest and strictest evidentiary standard in the state of Texas. Okay? You only have that for this type of case, or this in a criminal context. Okay? It's higher than clear and convincing. Clear and convincing evidence, which is a lower standard, is something that they would need to prove if they wanted to take your child away from you. To break that sacred bond between you and your child. They would need clear and convincing evidence to do that. What you're required to do is find beyond a reasonable doubt that they have proven every single element of the offense of theft. I'm sure you all will use your good judgment, and we hope that you will render a fair and accurate judgment in this case. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, and one thing I forgot to tell the jurors is that anytime you need a break, just be sure to raise your hand. I may not be able to see you, but the deputy will see you, or either Brenna will see you. So just let us know if you need a break. State, you may begin with your case, Chief.
Thank you, Judge. And Judge, pursuant to agreement, the state would first move to admit State's Exhibit number 1.
Any objections?
No objection, Your Honor.
State's Exhibit number 1 is admitted to evidence.
The state would move to publish the stipulation from State's Exhibit number 1.
Granted.
Stipulation by the defendant. I, Michael Stephen Hernandez, defendant in cause number 2019 CR 13789, do hereby judicially admit and stipulate that I am the same Michael Stephen Hernandez, named and described in cause 2013 CR 3890W, and that I was convicted in that cause of theft under $1,500 enhanced on May the 1st, 2013 in Bexar County, Texas. I am the same Michael Stephen Hernandez, named and described in 2014 CR 2626, and that I was convicted in that cause of theft under $1,500 enhanced on December 9th, 2014 in Bexar County, Texas. That my state identification number is 8595288, and that my Bexar County SID number is 950371. Signed, the defendant. Judge, where would you like me to place this?
Oh, if you will place the exhibit with Brenna, please.
Thank you.
And state, call your first witness.
Judge, the state at this time would also move to admit State's Exhibit number 2 and State's Exhibit number 3 as having been made relevant and authentic by the stipulations as clerk certified copies of records offered to prove an element of this offense. State's Exhibit number 2 being cause 2013 CR 3890W, and State's Exhibit number 3 being 2014 CR 2626.
All right, any objection from the defense?
No objection.
All right, then State's Exhibits number 2 and 3 are admitted.
Thank you, Judge. The state would first call James Loeffler to the stand.
And to the jurors, all of the witnesses, they are actually going to come in through this door because it's easier than walking through the courtroom.
You turn that light down. I don't know.
Would you raise your right hand for me, please? Do you solemnly swear affirm the testimony you give will be the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, you can take your seat. If you'll state your name for the record, please, and spell it.
My name, first name's gonna be James, last name's gonna be Leffler. First name James, James, last name Loeffler,
Right, state.
Texas.
People always do that when I say that. When I say state, I'm actually talking to the state of Texas. who's
Oh, okay.
prosecuting the case. You're welcome. That happens every time.
Good morning, almost afternoon, Mr. Leffler. I want to start by apologizing to you for pronouncing your name incorrectly every time I've talked to you.
It's okay.
How are you employed?
Work at Target,
How long have you been with Target?
7 years.
What do you do there?
I'm a ETLAP, so executive team leader, asset production. I'm a manager
Okay. And asset protection, what is that?
there. So it's just like loss prevention. So we focus on providing safe and secure shopping experience for our guests and our team, as well as going after external and internal threats.
Get closer to the mic and slow down.
Okay.
Okay. And for those 7 years, have you worked at the same store or multiple stores?
I've worked in multiple stores.
Where do you work now?
Right now, so I'm just floating, I'm a floating ETLAP, so I just cover any leader that goes on vacation at their store, or if they're out for some reason, I'll go to their store and help support.
And as this, what was the first acronym for the supervisor role?
Executive team lead.
ETL. Okay. What do you do as an ETL or as the asset protection? What are some of your responsibilities?
So just managing my team, we have TSSs, target security specialists, so managing them, and then supporting store side, anything they need help with, whether it's providing, and whether it's a safety incident or security incident, I will assist there, and as well as just helping out wherever the business needs us.
In the course of your 7 years, have you ever handled any shoplifting incidents?
Yes, I have.
How would you or how have you gone about handling incidents like that?
So we have our director training, is very detailed on what we focus on, what Target provides us with the training. And we follow those steps and those guidelines, and we use that as a tool to go after shoplifters.
Did you work with Target on September 12th of 2018?
Yes.
What Target did you work at?
At that time, I would have been at the Claiborne 604 Target.
Is that in San Antonio,
Yes.
Bear County?
Yes, sir.
And were you at work on that day?
Yes, I was.
And did you report any shoplifting events on that day?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Around what time?
I would have been around 4 p.m.
And in that position, when you have an incident that you handle, would you make a report?
Yes, so we have TCM, Target Case Management, where we document every report that we get. We document it into the system, and that's where it's collected.
And what do you typically put in those reports?
So we'll put our 5 steps. So we'll put observation, selection, the times of when they select merchandise, when they pass off point of sale, exit, all that stuff.
Do you ever take pictures of the suspect?
Yes, we do. So in a shoplifting instance, we will take their picture and we'll take a picture of the merchandise.
Did that store on September 12th, was it equipped with security cameras or a surveillance system?
Yes, so we have our camera system. It's called a TBS security desk. It's what Target uses, and that's what we're using that day.
Are you familiar with that system?
Yes, sir.
Have you received training on using that system?
Yes, I have.
Do you check that system when you get to work or periodically to make sure it's functioning properly?
Yes, sir. So I'll get there, put the cameras, make sure all the PTZs are working, which are the cameras we can control. And then I'll just make sure no cameras are down.
Oh, I see. So are the cameras capable of recording incidents?
Yes. So they have they keep video retention for 30 days.
And does the system automatically name its recordings? Or you said PTZ, where would I see that? What is that?
So PTZ is a pan tilt zoom camera. It's the ones we can control. So every store has certain cameras, like a certain number they have in their store, and then the rest are still shots, which just focus on certain wherever that shot is.
Oh, okay, so if it's a PTZ, then it's a manned
Yes,
security camera, and the others are just stationary
yes,
cameras,
yeah, exactly.
unmanned?
Mhm.
Oh, okay, thank you. Did you make a report of the incident on September 12th that happened around 4 p.m.?
Yes, I did.
Would it assist you today to have a copy of that report in front of you?
Yeah,
Judge, may I approach the witness?
Yes.
Mr. Leffler, I'm handing you what's been marked State Exhibit number letter A, excuse me. You recognize that?
yes, I do.
What is this?
It's a report that I filled out.
Okay, does that look like the typical report that you would create for an incident?
Yes, it's exactly what we.
And what incident date is this report for?
It's gonna be for September 12th, 2018.
Okay, thank you. You may use that to refresh your memory for police note. Do you recall about what time you first saw the suspect enter the store?
It would have been right around like 3:50 p.m.
Do you recall where you saw the suspect first?
I know first, when we saw him over in our style department. From there, he's in women's clothing, so I saw him there. And then from there, he moved to the sporting goods department. And the sporting goods is where I observed him make selections on articles of clothing. From there, he moved to our home department where he selected a Dyson fan.
What did you observe after that?
After he selected the Dyson fan, he moves to, so at my store, we had two entrances and exits, one on the grocery side and one on the general merchandise side. He moved to the grocery area, that entrance exit, and from there, is where we saw him.
And what did he do? What did you see?
Oh, at that point, so I was at APS at the time. I was an asset protection specialist, and then my TSS, Stephen, me and him moved outside of the store to position for the apprehension. And then my ETIP, Robert, he stayed on camera and continued to observe Mr. Hernandez. From there, he's in the grocery department. From grocery, he bypasses all points of sale, goes around the register, and proceeds to exit the building, failing to render payment for the merchandise.
Objection, Your Honor. May I approach?
Yes.
Yes. He is testifying as to what he saw on camera. And he does not, and he has not proven up the reliability of that system. And whether it's accurate or not. And whether it was conveying information to him accurately. And how can he testify to something that maybe he does not know was accurate?
Judge, we already went over the camera system, but I can draw a nexus to his testimony. So, Mr. Leffler, if I understand you correctly, there was a period of time where you did not have your own eyes on the suspect.
Yes, correct.
How do you know what happened in that meantime?
We use our walkie-talkies, so communicating to one another.
Okay. Did you at any point review the cameras from this incident?
Afterwards, yeah.
Okay. And to your knowledge, were the cameras functioning properly that day?
Yes.
Okay. And did you find any issues with the cameras when you looked at them?
No, sir.
And so is your testimony in filling the gaps between your personal observation with your camera review? Do you have any concerns about the reliability of that footage?
I do not.
So when do you encounter the suspect personally again?
So we give them every opportunity to purchase merchandise for the exit. So we stop them in the entrance exit vestibule when they're exiting the building. So in this case, he exited through the cart corral door, and that's where we stopped him.
In the cart corral, what's that?
It's where all the shopping carts get put into the store. So he didn't go through entrance exit. He went through where the cart doors are.
Was it And were you able to prevent him from leaving?
Yes, sir. We successfully apprehended him.
And to your knowledge, did he make any attempts to pay for the items?
No.
What did you do at that point?
At that point, we go to the office. That's where I get his information. I'll get the total of the merchandise, and depending on the totals, when we contact office.
And did you make a list of all the items that he had in his possession when you stopped him?
Yeah, so we filled out a green sheet with all the merchandise that he took for that day, as well as it gets input into our target case management system.
And what did you find on him when you apprehended him that day?
All the clothing items he selected from sporting goods, as well as the Dyson fan.
Dyson fan, do you know how many clothing items?
It was maybe about 10.
And if you need to use that report in States Exhibit A to refresh your memory.
That's 8. Oh no, it's 7 articles of clothing,
7 articles of clothing.
and then the Dyson fan.
And how long has it been since you reviewed this report, or not reviewed it, but created this report?
2018, number 12.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
Is it helpful to have this to refer to?
Yeah, it is.
Did you or anyone else at Target, to your knowledge, give him permission to leave the store without paying for the items?
No.
Do people typically pay for items before they leave with them?
Yes.
Any reason why somebody would be able to leave the store without paying for an item?
Objection, speculation.
Judge, I'm not asking for anybody's thoughts. I'm asking as an agent of Target whether there is any possible way that a customer could come in and leave without paying based on Target's policies and rules.
All right, well, if you'll ask that question, then I'll sustain the objections to the previous question.
Thank you, Judge. Mr. Leffler, is there any reason that you can determine that Mr. Hernandez would have had a reason to leave the store without paying?
I cannot.
And did you identify the suspect?
Yes.
How did you go about identifying the suspect?
We asked them for their driver's license or any type of ID.
And did you take the name down?
Yes.
What was the name you recorded?
Michael Hernandez.
Did you take a picture of the suspect?
Yes, we did.
Did you take a picture of the merchandise?
Yes.
Judge, may I approach the witness?
Yes.
Mr. Leffler, I'm showing you what's been marked as State's Exhibits number 4 and 5. Do you recognize these 2 exhibits?
Yes, I do.
What do you recognize them to be?
Michael Hernandez is a picture I took, then the picture of the merchandise that he is.
And although admittedly the quality isn't the best, is this a clear and accurate depiction of the photograph that you took before?
Yes.
Does it accurately represent what you observed in the loss prevention room?
Yes, sir.
Does it look like it's been tampered with?
No.
And this picture of, would you say, the merchandise?
Yes.
Does this look like an accurate depiction of what you observed that day?
Yes, it is.
And does this picture capture all the merchandise?
It's cut off a little bit, but that's the merchandise.
Is it an accurate picture of some of the merchandise?
Yeah, it is.
Does it look like it's been tampered with at all?
No.
Judges say we move to admit States 4 and 5.
Defense.
Objection, Your Honor, yes, those are really out of focus. Yes, we object, Your Honor. We don't know what type of camera was used, how reliable it was, and whether it is accurate in its depiction of the photographic evidence or not. So we don't know whether this is actually represents what was seen that day and is accurate. The equipment needs to be explored further to determine whether this should be allowed into evidence.
All right, if I can see State's Exhibit number 4 and 5, please.
Judge, if I may respond.
Just one moment, please. All right, defense's objection is overruled. States exhibits 4 and 5 is admitted.
Thank you, Judge. Mr. Leffler, are you able to identify the defendant in court today?
Yes,
Could you please point to the defendant and identify a piece of clothing?
it's me, Mr. Michael Hernandez, wearing the white Magellan long suit.
Judge, may the record reflect that witnesses identified the defendant. And is the person you just identified the same person that you apprehended on September 12th, 2018?
Yes, sir.
After you completed your report and took the photographs, what did you do?
At that point, we contact law enforcement, some law enforcement arrives, and thing on the other round is when they take them, so they detain them.
And do you recall who showed up for law enforcement?
Yes,
Who was it?
Officer Maurice.
And did Officer Maurice end up taking custody of the defendant?
He did.
And at that point, is your job complete?
Yes.
Now, during the course of this whole interaction, from the time that you first observed the defendant until Officer Maurice takes the defendant, was there surveillance working at the time?
Yes, there was.
And we talked before about still cameras and manned cameras. What did you say? The PTZ?
PTZ.
PTZ? Were those cameras active and recording?
Yes, they were.
And do you know whether or not they were working properly on the state?
They were.
And were some of them being manned,
Yes, they were.
the PTZ ones?
Mhm.
When the PTZ ones were being manned, were you in communication with the people manning those PTZ?
I was.
And were you in communication with them based on what you were observing in store?
Yes, I was.
Judge, may I approach the witness?
Yes.
Mr. Leff, I'm going to show you what's going to State's Exhibit number 6. You recognize this?
Yes, I do.
Are these your initials right here?
They are.
Have you reviewed the contents of this disc?
I have.
And what's on this disc?
All the steps and apprehension of Michael Hernandez.
Is the surveillance footage from Target
Yes,
on September 12th?
yes.
And are these from the cameras that we just discussed?
Yes, they are.
From the unmanned and the manned cameras?
Correct.
And to your knowledge, were they all working properly on the date in question?
They were.
And are you familiar with how they function?
I am.
And by your initials here, you indicating that you have reviewed these?
Yes.
And do they appear to be altered at all?
No.
Okay. And now the camera systems, I understand, don't just spit out discs. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So how does one get the video and the contents from the camera system into the disc?
So from the security desk to TVS system, you can actually burn the video from the security desk onto our desktop, and from there we burn it.
And is that how we get it into a format?
Yes.
And once again, does it look like there's been any tampering or editing of these videos?
No.
Okay, thank you. Judge, State would move to the State's Exhibit 6,
Defense.
tended to defense for review. And State would note on here that this single exhibit does contain multiple security cameras, but they're each named uniquely.
Objection, Your Honor, to the admission of the video disc. Is it Leffler or Loeffler?
Leffler.
Leffler, I'm sorry. He said that he examined,
What is the legal objection?
what's that?
The legal objection?
Lack of authentication, Judge.
All right, that'll be overruled.
I'd like to re-urge that, Your Honor, lack of authentication.
All right, that'll be overruled.
And Judge, if we may approach.
Yes.
We'd encountered some issues getting the video player to pull up on the screen. Do you want us to try and get this figured out in front of the jury, or did you want to give them a few minutes Marcus is here to help us.
We can give them a 5-minute break.
Okay, thank you, Judge.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to give you all a 5-minute break while we have some equipment taken care of, and then we'll bring you all back in. You've heard some evidence in this case. You're not allowed to discuss what you've heard. You're not allowed to deliberate or talk about it. I will let you know when it's time for you to deliberate and discuss what you've heard. Does everyone understand? All right, everyone will rise for the jury. All right, Mr. Buffalo, you can take a 5-minute break as well.
Ron, I don't know where this is. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll just keep it.
Maybe extra dollars.
I was trying to do it this morning, but they were on Zoom, so I had to. Hold on.
Yes. All right, state,
Thank you, Judge. Permission to publish State's Exhibit number 6.
that is granted.
Thank you, Judge. For the record, State's Exhibit number 6 is a disc that contains multiple surveillance videos. I will name the videos for the record. AP booking room, cosmetics, domestics, vacuums, sporting goods, exterior, PTZ grocery, PTZ RTW, and entrance. First, Judge, going to show entrance. If we can get it to display on the screen.
Okay.
Press publish.
Something is happening.
Starting at timestamp 158 on the video.
But it's done.
Just one moment. Crazy things happen.
Judge, may I approach the wall?
Yes, you may. See, we worked on this and then the system goes down.
Hold on, I see green light.
System is on. It was turned off somehow.
I
The whole,
did not-
huh?
I did not.
This, yeah, the system was turned off.
We're gonna find out. who
There it
the-
is.
There we go.
The system was off.
Okay.
All right, for the record, this is video entrance, starting at timestamp 1 minute 58 seconds in the video. Mr. Leffler, do you recognize the gentleman that just entered the building?
I do.
Who do you recognize that person to be?
Mr. Hernandez?
And in the video, there looks to be a timestamp. Is that in Central Time?
Yes, it is.
Stopping at 2:37. And playing video sporting goods. Starting at timestamp 4:30 in the video. Mr. Leffler, at this point, can you see the suspect in the video?
I can.
Where is he?
Far left, right down the main line.
What kind of items, Mr. Leffler, are in this area?
So that's our fan central section. So it's like sports gear, like Dallas Cowboys jerseys, they have Astro gear there, UTSA, stuff like that.
Mr. Leffler, what color shirt is the suspect wearing?
A light blue one.
Are you able to see my cursor on your screen?
Yes,
Is this the suspect right here?
yes, it is.
Mr. Leffler, in your position as an LP or an AP at the time, what kind of behavior would you look for out of a shopper that would make you concerned or interested in their behaviors?
So we just follow the merchandise. So depending on the stuff he's selecting and how he's selecting it, like just different characteristics is what we'll follow. So him putting it on, him grabbing multiple of the same thing, different things like that, is stuff that we'll use to kind of just further watch and observe them.
Stopping video at 8 minutes 52 seconds. Playing video in vacuums at 1 minute 19 seconds. Mr. Leffler, these fans we're looking at here, these Dyson fans,
Yes.
how much does one of those fans retail for in your store at that time?
So the lower end one is $299, and the higher end one I think is $449.
And the one that you apprehended him with, how much was that worth at the time?
$299.
Stopping video at 3 minutes. Now playing video. Cosmetics at 1 minute 45 seconds. Video time. Mr. Leffler, who are the individuals that just stepped in from you?
So it's gonna be myself and then my target protection specialist at the time, Steven Sanchez.
Stopping video at 4 minutes. And from that point, did you escort the defendant to your loss prevention and asset protection room?
Correct.
And in total, Mr. Leffler, what was the value of all the items you had in his possession?
I think it was right at 471.
Pass the witness, Judge.
Defense.
Yes, Mr. Leffler?
Yes, sir.
Correct? Leffler,
Yeah.
okay. I'll go back to your ability to determine whether the video equipment was working properly. You had said that you did examine the equipment, the video equipment, is that correct?
Correct.
Did you examine each camera individually?
Yes, sir. So on the TBS system on the tree, the camera does go down, it goes red, and all the cameras were green that day. They're all clear.
And you did not physically check each camera,
Each single camera, no.
okay? How did you examine, you said you had examined the system. How did you do that?
So on our tab, so we have pre-tabs set with all the layouts. So just by clicking through those tabs, I could check to see if the cameras are working properly and functioning.
And how did you determine if they were working properly and functioning?
Because all of them are showing an image. And so if they're down and not showing an image, then the system's not communicating to one another, so it won't show them.
How do you know that the image is a proper image?
Because I put a lot of those camera shots up. Like I installed them.
Okay, how do you know that they are working properly and that they're showing?
Objection, relevance, asked and answered.
That'll be overruled.
How did you determine that they were working properly, and that they were current, and that the images that you were seeing were actually accurate? How did you determine that, other than just looking at it? How did you actually determine that? Is there a special method that you use?
Because on the cameras, when you go over and scroll over them, it shows the actual live time feed, and the camera says live on it. So that's how you can determine all of them are recording and functioning properly.
And how did you determine that the live feed was working accurately?
Because if they weren't working, then there'd be no camera feed. Like the camera, it works or it doesn't. So if it's not working, then it's down. So for it to say live and then the timestamp is live on it, that's saying no, it's functioning properly.
How do you know that it's actually live?
Because all of them are live. All of our feeds are live. If you go back in time, you click on a button to go back live. Because there's no point to go back unless you're reviewing something.
So it's kind of circular, but if it's live, how do you know that it's actually live? Other than like looking at it saying, well, it's working. Well, how do you know that it's actually working?
Because on the physical cameras, it says live. Like it says, like, I mean, I don't have it in front of me, but on the system, it'll say that's live. The camera system.
Again, I don't want to belabor the point, but just because it says it's live doesn't mean it's actually live, does it? How did you determine that that was actually accurate?
Well, because if you review and you go back, then I mean, it's not live, because then it tells you it's not live. So then when you go forward, because all the feed is going live feed, it's live time on the timestamp, everything is current. Unless you purposely review it, then that's saying no, it's not live. But the PTZs and all that, for that stuff to function live, you have to be there physically controlling it, and that's saying no, it's live.
Did you have a technician for, what was the company that installed it and maintained it?
A good third-party company. Security Desk is what we use, but I don't know the actual company name.
You don't know who the company was that actually maintained it?
Well, it's through Target.
Okay, and do you have records of the actual maintenance?
It's controlled. We have I guess in our investigation center in Dallas, they have the servers and stuff like that that they maintain.
So you can't say whether it was accurately depicting events as they occurred because you didn't have the actual records that would tell you that they had been checked and that it was actually accurate, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so then you actually don't know for certain that it was accurate,
Well, the way it'd be accurate is we control the cameras, and I saw him live, so that's how I would know it's actual. It's actually there.
I know I'm going back and forth here, but how do you determine that it's live without a technician telling you that it's actually working properly?
Because the cameras are all working. If they're not working, then they go down.
Okay,
And we have to call it in.
so what you're telling me is that you know it's working because the cameras are showing something,
Yes, exactly.
but you don't know if what you're viewing is accurate and live. You don't actually know that. All you know is that it is showing you something.
Correct.
Okay, so you don't know whether it's actually accurate. And you don't have the ability to call anyone. You don't actually remember who installed the camera and maintained them.
We call our Target help desk, but that's when the camera goes down. The cameras just don't go down on their own. It's when they lose service or something's wrong with the port we're plugging in. That's how we know something's wrong.
Oh, and how do you determine that you're qualified to determine that?
We get trained on
And what was your training?
it through our security desk, through our Target training,
And how much training did you have?
quite a bit.
By quite a bit. Can you detail how much training you actually had?
They teach us on everything, how to use security desk, how to save video, burn video, how to save screenshots, how to do everything about the system.
And did they do that in person or did they do that remotely?
It's remotely,
Remotely,
it's through training.
okay. How much time did you spend training?
That course, I'm not too sure how long that course is specifically, but probably an hour and a half.
An hour and a half, that's all you had?
Yeah, and then being in live there in the field, working with the cameras. I've been with the company for quite a while, so I know specifically how the system works. It's all digital.
Okay, so you don't know, you had an hour and a half training. And you can't tell me or the jury when it was last maintained and who did it? and who checked out the system by the company maintaining it and checking the veracity of what those cameras are recording.
Objection, form, compound question, argumentative.
Sustained.
Let me rephrase that. You previously testified that you did not, that you do not know who the actual company is that maintained and serviced those cameras. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, and you don't know when it was actually last serviced,
I
correct?
do not.
Okay, so it could have been a year, 2 years. You have no idea, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so you can't actually 100% tell this jury that those cameras were actually accurate.
I can't tell you when they were maintained, like who does that on them, but I know for that day the cameras are all accurate. It's all live.
Okay, all right, I can see we're going in circles. Okay. Are you aware of how often Target services their carts
I'm not.
and make sure that the carts are working properly?
I do not.
Okay,
We have a PML, the property management leader. He's the one that services the carts. So if there's carts broken, they place a red tag on them and they give them to him and he's the one who fixes them.
and generally, this might be beyond your knowledge level. How do they determine how do they receive notice that a cart is working properly or not?
The wheels not spinning, I mean, they're plastic, so they break, something cracks on them. Something like that is where they'll give it to the PML. He's the one that fixes them.
Okay, and then they take the cart out and service it to get it to working properly.
Correct.
Okay, and they receive the notice that a cart's not working properly through what mechanism?
Yes, team members, that's how we report them.
Okay. Are you familiar with the cart in question that Mr. Hernandez was using, was pushing and pulling?
Correct.
Okay, you're familiar with that cart, that particular cart?
Yeah,
Okay, is it numbered?
no,
Okay. How are you familiar with that particular cart if it's not numbered or otherwise identifiable?
I mean, they're all the red shopping carts.
What's that?
They're all the red shopping carts. You're talking about like that specific cart?
That specific cart.
Oh, that I wouldn't know.
Okay. Now, on one of the videos, it showed that Mr. Hernandez was putting on a black shirt, I believe, and you commented on that to the state, correct?
Yes,
Okay. Then the next video, it showed Mr. Hernandez without the shirt on. What happened to that shirt?
it looked like you put it back in the video and you put that one back. So it looked like,
You saw that on the video? I didn't see it on the video. Did you see that on the video that he took off the shirt and put it back?
yeah, you took it off, it looked like you put it back on the hanger.
I didn't see that. Could we replay that video? I don't have the ability to do that. I believe that would be the second video that the state was playing.
Would you like sporting goods at 4:30?
What's that?
Sporting goods?
Yeah, I believe that was sporting. Sorry to enlist you all on this. I don't have the ability to control that thing. So approximately, when did he take off the black shirt?
I'm not too sure.
I'm gonna skip around while we try and find the point. Starting at 6 minutes in sporting goods, states exhibit number 6. Is this what you're looking for right here? Mr. Zimmerman?
Yes, I see.
Would you like to go back, Mr. Zimmerman?
Yeah, I'd like to be able to, I saw a blue shirt, but I didn't see the black on him.
I'm going to restart this video at 5 minutes, 30 seconds in video stamp.
Okay, Mr. Loeffler, Mr. Hernandez is at least depicted in this video. He's got his blue shirt on. Is that correct? And he's
Correct.
looking at looks like some apparel.
So right there, you can tell he put it on.
I'm not seeing it.
He's up there at the top of the screen. Oh, I touched it. You just take it back off.
Okay, so he put it on, then he took it off. So as far as you know, all he was doing was trying it on for size, correct? That's all you know.
Correct. And well, he selected and he put it in the shopping cart.
Okay, right there, he's putting on the shirt. Okay. I'm sorry, did you tell me that he already took it off?
Up there, when you turn on a different one. Look like.
Kind of hard to see in this video, isn't it?
I could see it.
And state what time did you stop the video on this? What was the timestamp?
During the initial play.
I'm sorry. Mr. Loeffler, at what point did he take off there?
He
Is
takes
that
off.
taken off
Yeah, he's gonna take it off right here.
All right, okay. Okay, I just wasn't sure about that. Okay, now, did you observe, when you did observe him pulling the cart, correct? Pushing and pulling the cart?
Correct.
Okay, all right. And the cart was wobbling, wasn't it?
I can't tell from the video.
Not on this video, on the other video, on the last video. Correct?
I couldn't see it. I'd have to rewatch it.
Your Honor, could I request from the state to play the fourth video.
I'm sure if you request it, the state will place it in the player for you.
Are we done with sporting goods?
Yeah, this one's sporting goods. But I don't have the ability to control the videos.
Are you looking for cosmetics, the exit video?
The exit video.
Playing cosmetics from states exhibit number 6. Starting at timestamp 1 minute 45 seconds.
I believe this one was, the other one was in the produce section, wasn't it? Okay. Okay. He's pulling the cart. It looks to me like there's a problem with the cart. You're observing that?
What's wrong with the cart?
It looks to me as if he's having to pull it rather than push it in order to get it to function properly.
Looks like it's rolling just fine.
Okay, all right. Okay. By the way, he didn't actually exit the store, did he?
At that point, he bypassed all points of sales, he passed the towers, he's in the vestibule, and that's where we stop.
But he did not actually exit the property. That's the question, correct?
Correct, but
The
he
building.
bypassed all points of sale. As soon as it bypassed all points of sale, past the towers in the vestibule.
Mr. Leffler, I'm not asking you that. I'm asking you a specific question. Did he exit the building?
No,
Thank you. Pass the witness, subject to recall.
State.
Thank you, Judge. Mr. Leffler, real quick, when you reviewed these cameras, did you say that you were on the floor making these observations on the date?
yes, I was.
So when you reviewed the footage from the cameras, was it consistent with what you personally observed?
Yes,
And when you stopped the suspect defendant in the vestibule, what items did he have in his cart?
he had the sporting goods selections, the apparel items, as well as the Bexar.
Did he complain to you at that time about his cart
No,
that you can recall?
no.
Pass the witness.
Defense.
State is finished with this witness, subject to recall, Judge.
All right, do you have no further questions at this time?
No further questions, Judge. Subject to recall.
All right. State, defense, are either of you invoking the rule or no?
Yes.
All right. The rule has been invoked. What that means is you can't discuss your testimony with anyone. The only persons you're allowed to speak to are attorneys for the state and attorneys for the defense. Do you understand?
Right.
All right, you're going to be subject to recall, which means that either the state or the defense may ask for you to come back and give more testimony.
Okay.
All right, you're excused for now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Do I take this?
Oh, no, just leave it at the desk, please. All right, ladies and gentlemen, of the jury, we're gonna take our lunch break. I'm gonna have you all come back at 2:30, and I promise you, no matter what happens, we will start exactly at 2:30. I just want to let you all know that when you're brought in late, it's not because of the defense or the state. I have other cases that are going on in the morning time, and sometimes they go longer than anticipated. And also, you may see people sometime come through this door with items for me to sign. It's absolutely nothing to do with this case. It has to do with other cases that are going on in the court. So again, you've heard some testimony in this case. You're not allowed to discuss it with each other or consider it in any way. I'll let you know when you're allowed to deliberate. All right, so there are many places that you can go downtown. There's a cafeteria that's downstairs. They're now open, so you can go there if you want something to eat. And then, as I said, if you walk around downtown, a lot of the places are starting to open up. All right, everyone, please rise for the jury. All right, everyone can be seated. I'm going to stop the live stream and we will come back on other cases that are on the docket at 2 p.m.